What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Inside the Lines. Happy Monday. It is officially finals week, NBA finals week, not college finals week, which was just a mere year ago today for me. But you know what? We got a lot to get through today. We got a lot of MLB night games here. Jake has been on fire with the baseball, although he won't want to say it himself, but I will be the first to pat him on the back here. Jake, what are we, like 7-1 in your college baseball past 2 days, and then the regional picks are just green check mark, and we got a few more we're waiting out today. What are we waiting on right now?
Yeah, right now we need ECU to make a bit of a comeback. They're down 2-0, but they have runners on first and third. That game's going to be a high-scoring game, so I'm not too concerned as of right now. But their pitching is a little concerning. But you could have, I did tweet out if you wanted to hedge that. We have ECU plus 170. If you wanted to hedge pregame, you could have got Evansville plus 225. So either way, you could have been pretty profitable there. And we're waiting on Oklahoma State versus Florida. My Gators making things a little interesting, even though I think Oklahoma State should win that series. And I think that's – and then UC Irvine, Oregon State's the last one that we're waiting on. Oregon State's up 6-4, and that game's suspended. And even if they lose this game, they'll still have another game against Irvine tonight. But they're sitting pretty good in that game.
Okay. I think we're having tad connection issues, which actually might be our fault on the other end. So apologies if that's interfering with the others out there. But things are looking pretty good for college baseball right now. A few more regionals again to finish out tonight, hopefully, if rain permits. But tonight we got a few MLB games. We got a handful of MLB night games. Steven, I'm going to send you to the chat. Start answering any NBA if the people are asking. But let's talk about two props that we like tonight. Starting with the Cincinnati prop. I feel like we haven't talked about Cincinnati plays that much, or was I just not paying attention?
I didn't know. I mean, we talked about Ellie De La Cruz a little, not a ton. I mean, Cincinnati is one of those teams that they're young and fun, but they're probably a couple years away from really contending. But they do kind of remind me in a little way of the Rangers last year. But I think they're just a couple years away from truly contending. But Ellie De La Cruz is one of the most fun players to watch. And this is, if you're into plus EV, this is one of the plays that you would really like because every other book had Ellie at plus 120 and FanDuel had him at plus 154. I tweeted this out earlier because I didn't want to lose this. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if I check FanDuel right now. It's at plus 120. But that's why I had to tweet it out for you guys. We have him at around plus 130. So you're getting pretty good value at plus 154.
Okay. I think I got that. We're having some technical difficulties, but hopefully we'll make it through and get past it. All right. So we know we like him. What about Matt Waldron here? We're looking at some strikeout props.
Matt Waldron, the only player right now in the MLB that's throwing a knuckleball. There is a cool story that David Fletcher, who was a utility player for the Angels, he's all mixed up in that Shohei Ohtani betting scandal as well. But he got signed to the Braves, and he's throwing a knuckleball, and he's become a knuckleball pitcher. It's a 1-year, $7 million contract. He's only throwing knuckleballs in AAA, so we could have two knuckleball pitchers. But as of right now, Matt Waldron's the only one in the MLB right now currently throwing a knuckleball in his arsenal. We have him at 5.5Ks, so you're getting pretty good value here if you get it at 4.5. I think this is just a solid play. The over has hit 4 straight games, and he's 4-2 in the over away from home as well.
Okay, Matt Waldron, a knuckleball. That's all I'm going to remember about him. And then by like October, I'm going to have an arsenal of just random facts about these pitchers that I know. Thank you to Jake.
Yeah, he's not a true knuckleball, but he'll mix in the knuckleball into his arsenal. He's not like a Tim Wakefield where it's 90% knuckleballs, 10% fastballs. He's pretty mixed.
Unfortunately, my brain has already digested him as Matt Knuckleball.
Matt Knuckleball, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. 2 MLB plays. If you have any more MLB questions, certainly put them in the chat. We'll have Jake answering them. Steven, let's bring in the model quickly. We'll talk about just a series preview right now for the NBA Finals. Again, we are blessed with a few days to prepare for this. Some early lines, some early value we can get. We are pretty good at predicting where these lines are headed and when to act now in certain things. As far as the series itself, not too much has changed. odds implied give Boston around a 70% chance to win the series. We're closer to 75%. Dallas, we have around 25% chance to win. Mostly, this is a 3-point contest. Correct me if I'm wrong, Steven, but basically turnovers wash out, rebounding washes out, 2-point percentage washes out. This becomes survival of the 3-point line, and it feels like Boston has a larger 3-point roster than Dallas has to provide here, right?
Yeah, that's what in the model I saw that we had Boston favored by 7.5 in game one. And then you look at, we have them projected for 2.5 more made threes per game or in that game one. So it's like, oh, that's my calculator, like mine did 3 times 2.5. And
you're so good.
And
like
it was
that.
Really impressive. So yeah, it all comes down to that. And then you look at it, Boston has 8 players, assuming Porzingis is back, 8 players in the rotation, none of whom are complete defensive slouchers. All of them pass pretty well, and they can all average, 1.5 plus threes. Whereas Dallas, with Tim Hardaway not in the lineup, and maybe he will be. So I'm a little worried about some of the. I'm staying off some of the Dallas props that I would ordinarily be on because I want to see how they play game one. Maybe they revive Hardaway, but other than that, if he's still on the bench, they only have 3 guys that are reliable 3-point shooters. So with Boston and their great defense and their ability to defend the perimeter, it's going to be hard for Dallas to have all 3 of those guys shooting a combined 40% plus in 4 of the 7 games. And that's what it's going to take for Dallas to win. So it's not impossible. We have around 25% chance that happens.
Right.
Whereas Boston can have a bad game. They could have Tatum and Brown combined 1 for 10 and still probably end up with 4 other guys who combined for 10 for 25.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like 4 of these guys can take the night off offensively, and another 4 will pick up for it. And then you have Drew White. That's basically what it feels like.
Pretty much.
Drew Holiday and Derek White combined, stopping the 2 of those guys, and they can take the whole night off offensively and just worry about stopping those 2 guys. But we don't think they're going to do that because we have a little future on Derek White MVP plus 3,500 because the logic is sound. He could average close to 20 points per game, if not 20 points per game, and be dubbed with stopping one of the superstars on Dallas if Boston wins the series. So Jason Tatum's not going to be the reason that they stop Luka or Kyrie. It's going to be Drew Holiday or Derek White, on top of the fact that Derek White, I think, is more likely to put up some offensive production compared to Drew Holiday. So if you guys are on the Derek White MVP train, join the team. All right,
it'll be about moments too, because like Andre Iguodala, that year against he got the MVP over Steph bogusly, but he got it even though because he did such a great defensive jobs on LeBron. He held LeBron to like 35 points a game. There were some notable moments where he did play good defense. So even if Kyrie has a great series and averages 30 points he might have 2 games or 2 halves that Dallas loses, and and White is locking him down. And you combine those moments with, again, if White is hot from 3, which he has been for all but 3 games versus Cleveland, he's been pretty lights out. So you got this combination where it's going to be really hard for Tatum to exceed his regular season performance. You saw what happens. He had incredible numbers against these. He didn't get the Eastern Conference Final MVP, despite having won. He was maybe 3 or 4 players had numbers like his in that series because they were still. He didn't shoot well, so people remembered him missing a lot of threes, and he didn't greatly exceed his first team All NBA numbers. So that's why I think White, especially at 35-1. A much better play.
Oh, Tatum's like minus odds.
Yeah, if you look at it,
who the hell is taking a minus odd?
They're basically saying that when you look at Boston's implied chances of winning the series and Tatum's odds, it was like 80% chance that of any Boston player that'd be Tatum, and I just don't see that happening as given.
He'd literally have to average like 35, 10, and 10. I feel like.
Yeah, I also think that I actually think Tatum's gonna have a bad series. I'm not a high on Tatum. I think he's kind of a choker. The reason why, and if you were to tell me right now that every game would come down to the final possession in the final minute, I think Dallas would win in 5.
Right.
I think Boston's good enough to blow them out 3 times.
The first half, yeah.
3 times, blowout wins, and then Boston only has to be clutch 1 out of the other 4 games.
I'd like to start looking into some Boston first quarter and first half spreads in this series. I don't think they'll cover the fourth quarter.
That's why if I was a Dallas fan, I would take them to win in 7, because I think if it came down to game 7, I see Luka doing what he did against Minnesota in the last game. Yeah, that's also another reason we love White is and Holiday, because they can focus on defense. Whereas Anthony Edwards was playing great defense, but he was gassed. He couldn't score 30,
Yeah.
pass for 10, and defend Luka and Kyrie. So, but whereas White and Holiday could do nothing but defend and shoot open threes,
Yeah.
and make them at 35%.
Yeah. The chat's bringing up good points here. BML's talking about how Brown winning Eastern Conference Finals MVP shows that like the voters, and we've seen that other players in the league are recognizing this isn't just the Tatum train. You had Josh Hart shouting out Derek White here. So hopefully that helps us. But you can tell the voters understand that this is like a bigger team outside of Jason Tatum. So that definitely helps us here. Taylor talking about how Dallas needs to keep it close since they are so good in the last 3 minutes. This is another series where if you do like Dallas, instead of betting the spread, you might as well take the money line. Like, I don't think there's a close game that Dallas loses. I feel like Dallas is so good in clutch time and Boston is not. So for Dallas fans out there, I feel like it's better, at least in the home. No, on the away games, they play better on the road. So maybe like one of these Boston games, you just take Dallas money line if you're feeling good.
I think so too, because Dallas is, they have a better win-loss record when you add up the playoffs, regular season, in-season tournament, all that stuff. They have a better win-loss record on the road, and since they've acquired, since they got Gafford and then Lively's, been there all year, but with the combination of them, they basically have 15 points on 70% shooting and 15 rebounds and 4 blocks in 48 minutes from the center position.
Yeah.
So earlier preseason, we as a team, and especially me, faded Dallas as biggest under, but that was because there was no Gafford, and all I knew about Derek Lively is that he was a highly recruit from Duke who averaged 5 points and 5 rebounds.
Yeah.
And so I didn't think he'd come in and be peak Tyson Chandler. So I was wrong for the right reason.
Whoa, I thought you were going to end the sentence there. I was about to go crazy.
I'm wrong funny, but I'm always wrong for the right reasons.
Yes,
I would say.
Yes. You need a t-shirt of that. We got boots on the ground here on Thursday from Brian. Love to see it. How about some Porzingis news? Are we anywhere with that, if he's playing or not?
Yeah, I mean, everything says he's trending up, and the model has him at 30 minutes, which is under what but that could be maybe closer to 25, 26. I could see him, given his nature of his injury, doing what usually you see players, play or don't play. I think he could be in a situation where he splits time with Horford 1-to-1. But we'll see, because Horford played so well for most of that last series.
Right. All right, let's look into some game one specific props that we want to get on now that could possibly be changing here. We'll start with the good old faithful to Steven, not necessarily myself, Derek White. We're going to go with the PRA here, 22.5, below his season average, correct?
Yeah, so the best value of any of the single bets is definitely his points. I think that was at 13.5, and for the season, our points records are pretty solid. Oh, this is by my touting. I didn't show this graphic on this day or that day or that day on this game slide. I'm showing it now.
That was pre-Korea when you were like, I don't care, I'm going on vacation.
I stopped. I couldn't even watch games. I was didn't know what time it was. I had the combination of whiskey and coffee at all times, and I don't even like whiskey. I love, but I was a Korean man. Yeah. So, but I came back and rejuvenated and back up. Derek White, but we do have slight value on rebounds and assists, so I thought I'd go with all three. Again, he's averaged right around 25 for the season, so this is well under his line. You take away those 3 games against Cleveland, he's been money in the playoffs. And then guards who average similar PRA, actually less than this, 20 to 25 PRA, they average 3 more on their home court versus Dallas. The over is a much higher percentage.
Yeah, don't have to twist my arm on the Derek White props. I'm in. I like anything under the season average, especially at home.
I'm going to wait until game 2. I was looking at Lively and Gafford because there is some value there, but I just think that Boston, even though with Porzingis' height, but I just think Boston's going to be more clever as far as defending the lob. But I want to see it for sure before I go. But so that's why I'm not on Lively over, even though the model has it. I might be in game 2 if I see the guy lob it 5 times and dunk it. But in the meantime, I know it's PJ Washington. We had undervalue on his PRA, but overvalue on his 1.5 assists with just 1.6, but at plus 135. That's really nice. It's plus money on well under his season average. And I looked at it, and so for the year, he's much worse on the road. He, this goes back to his time in Charlotte as well. but he averages 2.5 fewer made field goal attempts, and he shoots over 6 percentage points lower on the road, but his assists are the same. So I kind of like that. Maybe if he's not hitting it, he'll be looking to make that extra pass, and as opposed to taking a bunch of
I don't
threes.
know. 2 assists for anyone on the court that long feels like makes a lot of sense at plus money in my head.
Yeah, he's had 2 in every, his the last 3 games against Minnesota. He's been passing pretty well. It looks like he's not just trying to be too one-dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unless you're
All
Michael
right,
Porter
so we
Jr.
got
in his first couple of years where he's not passing the ball if he gets it.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Or your Anthony Edwards playing in garbage time fourth quarter. Sensitive topic. Yeah, that was tough. Made way too much sense.
The sad thing, Mackenzie, is you're going to remember that when it's going to be like, you're going to be 25 years from now. You're going to remember when Anthony Edwards didn't get that. You
No, I'll remember who the hell is the Nets player that lost me my 20 into 500?
Oh, the German, Schroeder.
Sure, yeah.
Schroeder.
That guy sucks.
Yeah.
I was crazy. I almost turned 20 into 500 on my first try.
Yeah.
That was nuts.
Steven, so we have
let's move on. I see a few questions. Let's some questions first.
So we have Luka for 30.8 points, 8.7 rebounds, 8.9 assists. I think we'd set that at probably like 25% chance that he gets a triple-double. And his best line is plus 380. So then there's some value there.
Yeah, because the points is a no-brainer. So obviously he's going to get the points. So it just rebounds. It's probably be right around 44% for each of those. So, 45. Yeah.
So
not loving that.
Yeah.
Value.
Let's see. 0.4.
I just like to go with things that I feel more secure in for game 1 before you see what happens. Like I said, I think that Minnesota was so big that guys like Tim Hardaway and Kleber was injured, but then they didn't need to go to their bench much or on their wings. But maybe Boston being so wing oriented, they will play some of these guys, and so then that could change how the offense runs. It could change a lot of things. Not with Luka necessarily, but with the bigs. So the last pick that I feel safe about is Derrick Jones Jr. because he is the one who's athletic enough and length to always be on the court. You can't stop. If it was just Jason Tatum or it was just Jaylen Brown on the team, maybe you could get away with other players. But with both of them on the court for 40 out of the 48 minutes, you need a guy like Derrick Jones to be guarding one of them. You only get destroyed. He's also been shooting very well from 3, nearly 40% on threes in the playoffs with over 3 attempts. So he's become for the playoffs, a very good 3-and-D type player. And so obviously if he plays major minutes, if he plays 33 minutes, he's a lock at 13-2 over the season. But even in just a sweet spot of 26 to 33 minutes, and he might be in with Kleber back, that maybe he's still 23-7 in those situations. So I don't worry about this road trend, which was accumulated before he was hitting his threes.
Mm-hmm. All right. 3 player props. Sorry if our audio has been in and out for you guys. We'll make sure that is fixed for tomorrow as well. I see a few questions. I saw Steven talking about lively assists have been hitting that plus money. I wonder if we have any value there.
And we have 1.4, so it's over a half assist with plus money.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's been money, huh? 3-2-2, 3-3. Sounds good to me. Sounds
like the sneaky play. Yeah. Like the sneaky play. And one other question, I was looking at Kyrie over 4.5 assists.
We do like Kyrie over 4.5 assists. I was just gonna wait until game 1.
Mm-hmm.
We have 5 assists, but that was one. I wrote a couple notes down for that, and then I changed my mind. I wanted to see how game 1 goes.
Yeah. And speaking of game 1, me and Steven were thinking of going live after game 1 to see what the initial props are and stuff and maybe get good value. I'd love to see any comments or questions about if people would be interested in tuning into that right after the Thursday night game so we can get ahead of the lines and get the best value. But that is TBD, just an idea floating around here. I think that's all the questions I see right now for game 1. Obviously, we have all week to talk about it. Going to throw up the recap screen here. We have until Thursday. Tomorrow, Jake will be going over the super regionals. That whole schedule should be out after the games end tonight. more value. Obviously, you saw that he crushed the regional so far, and there's still some, knock on wood, green check marks to come. But we'll talk about the super regionals, and then later in the week, we'll continue to talk about this game, get some live chat Q&A, always have MLB as well. So anything you guys want to hear, always feel free to reach out to us on Twitter. Always happy to hear new ideas. And with that, good luck with your baseball bets tonight, maybe your W bets tonight. We will see you guys tomorrow.
We also, oh, sorry.
You got it?
No, we also got to figure out why Jake is so shy of bragging and touting when he does well.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to brag for Jake, okay? But
I'm
know
sure
that
it's
his
some
picks
kind of
are hitting.
weird superstition,
He's just a
leave
humble
that
guy.
to me.
Yeah, just a humble guy. All right, guys. Good luck with your bets. We'll see you tomorrow.